Oh, that's hot. Well, I've been putting off the shoot time and time again over the last few weeks. I think I said in my last video that we're going for a bit of a heat wave here in the UK. So it's been 30 degree temperatures, blue skies all day, and I don't do the heat, and I know I don't do the blue skies. It's blue skies today, boo-hoo to the blue skies. So it's not ideal for landscapes, but I had to go for it sometime. There wasn't any change in the weather, so I've come out on a blue sky day. Oh, and for my overseas subscribers, yes, I know 30 degrees probably isn't that bad. You're probably used to these blue skies most of the year, but here in the UK, we like to moan about the weather, whether it's hot or cold, or maybe that's just me. But anyway, I've given into it, so I've come out today, and I'm here to do my next photo-free challenge, which, as you can see, is coming from the landscape. Oh, and if you're wondering about this, by the way, just to punch up at a wedding. It's all right, it wasn't the groom or the best man. No, it was the bride's father. I joke, of course, it was just a lame gardening accident. So my challenge today is focal lengths, and I'm going to do 3 different shots on 3 different focal lengths on 3 different lenses. And to mix this up a bit, I'm actually going to do this at 2 different locations. The first one being this one, which is Wind Gather Rocks. That's the Wind Gather Rocks down there in the distance. I've never actually been here before, so I don't really know what to expect. Obviously you've got the rocks there in the distance, but I've got to frame up some shots to suit that. And I'm actually going to be shooting this earlier in the afternoon. It's only about 3 o'clock in the afternoon at the moment, so the light isn't ideal. So it's a new location, not the ideal light, but still those 3 shots at 3 different focal lengths. And then later on this afternoon, I'm going to head off to another location, a location I have been to before, so I do know the layout of it, and get 3 more shots at 3 different focal lengths. What hopefully will be better light. So the 3 lenses I'm going to be using today are my 3 zooms. So I've got my Panasonic 8-18mm, my Olympus 12-40mm, and my Panasonic 35-100. Now obviously, because these are micro four thirds, you can double all those numbers to get the full frame equivalent of these lenses. So what I'm going to do is shoot at the widest end of the ultra wide zoom that I've got, the 8mm end, which is 16mm in full frame. I'm going to shoot at 25mm on the standard zoom, which is 50mm full frame, and then I'm going to shoot at 100mm on the telephoto zoom, which is 200mm on full frame. So that's 2 extremes, 1 ultra wide, 1 telephoto, and 1 bang in the middle. So for my first shot here, I'm going to start off at the widest focal length, and I'm going to drive down to the actual rocks themselves. As I say, I haven't been to this location before, so I don't really know the shots I'm going to get. But I think the first one will probably work from down there. Well, first location, first focal length, first shot, and I think this is going to be the hardest shot to do all afternoon, simply because we've got those clear blue skies at the moment. The sun is pretty much behind me at the moment, it's not even off to one side, and so with this focal length, which is 8mm and ultra wide, I'm trying to find a shot here where I don't actually get my own shadow in the shot because the sun is behind me. Well, as you probably see, there's seems to be a school of rock climbers doing their thing about halfway along the rock, so I've come past them and come to the far end where you get that main view out, and I'm trying to compose a shot from down here. Now the obvious thing, because of the blue skies, would be to go for a horizontal, but even at 8mm it's still a lot to bring into the frame, and so I'm just looking around for different shapes within these rocks here, different shapes, different patterns, different ways to compose the shot with these as the foreground. But if I step back a bit here, I think there's a shot actually to do vertical. You can just drop down the side of here, and you've got this big rock sticking out on its own around here, this one here, and if I just step up a bit onto a slightly higher level, I can actually still get the view, but it is a dominating feature for the foreground which I could then use as a vertical format. Still going to get a lot of sky, I can't avoid that, but it's either a lot of sky across the landscape over to the left, or try and fill the foreground as much as possible, which is what I'm trying to do here. So I'm testing myself out here. I'm using a one focal length. I'm using it at probably the wrong time of day and probably the wrong landscape, because I probably wouldn't shoot this at such an ultra wide focal length, but then that's the challenge. You know what, scrap that, that's not the shot. I've got to think differently here, because I've got this poor light, because I've got such a wide angle. I've got to look for something a bit different. That view that way, the light is even worse, it's very flat despite that prominent foreground. So it's not a vertical shot I'm doing here, it's a horizontal, and the horizontal is over here. So instead of looking that way, I'm looking slightly over this way, and my foreground are the flowers, grasses growing out of the rock here. So I'm thinking ultra wide, I'm thinking fill the foreground, use the ultra wide to its advantage, those lines in the rocks, and there's my shot for here. That'll do. Well, I think I'm in luck here. I think I might be able to do my next two shots from this one position. I've driven back up the road a bit, almost to the car park where I started off, and there's a great view down here of the rocks with the road winding into the view. So I'm going to do the one shot from here on this wall with a telephoto. This is going to be my 100mm shot, 200mm full frame equivalent. The telephoto shot really compress that view, get the snaking of the road with the rocks in the background, and then I think there's going to be a wider view to do from here, which will be my 25mm on micro four thirds, which is 50mm on full frame, for a more landscape view, but compressing the view much more than I did obviously with the ultra wide angle shot. So two shots from this one spot to get this location done. So for my 25mm view, I'm keeping things dead simple. Lay-by shot, I'm not even going into the landscape. This can be done from the road. I've got the foreground post down here, nice group of cowslips, I think these are here. Nice sweep of the brick wall there, the dry stone wall, leading down to our main viewpoint of the rocks on the left-hand side. From the right to the left, 25mm. That's not too bad for this time of day. So not award-winning shots, but not too bad for this time of day. But I think it's a location that I'll definitely be returning to, probably golden hour, because I think it deserves that. Well, this next location is Carhead Rocks. This is another location in the Peak District. If I didn't say this was the Peak District that I'm in, both locations were in the Peak District. And so this is my next location. Same technique, same principle, 3 lenses, 3 different focal lengths, 3 shots. So I have been here before, a few times, but I'm going to try and look at it with fresh eyes and try and capture shots I haven't done before actually. So wide angle, standard shot and a telephoto. So for the wide angles, there's loads of rocks here. I could incorporate any of these, but I'm trying to look for something different actually, because I have done that many times with using all these rocks, and it's a great place for that. Ultra wide, fill the foregrounds with the lens and the composition, and it's a perfect place for that. But I want to try something different, I think. I'm not sure yet, not sure what, but something. And then onto the standard lens, which will bring some of the background into view again, just as I did at the other location. So you've got the foreground to keep it as a landscape, but it's kind of bringing in some of the distant view, which the hills down there looking really nice. And then for the telephoto, well, even more of that. It's either going to be the view looking that way down the valley there, or the view looking down this way. And I've done that one before, so I'm thinking I'm going to do the view down this way with the telephoto, but we are looking directly into the sun, so that's either going to give an interesting shot or a very flary shot. Well, first up is the 8mm on the ultra wide. Instead of doing a view with this one, I think I'm going to go for something that's still around, something that's part of this landscape, and that's the cotton grass here, which is probably past its best. There's just patches of it left, not great swathes of it, but I think this is going to work quite nicely to do as a nice wide angle at this location. So I'm getting down nice and low, pointing the camera up at the grass. I'm trying some backlit as well as lit with the sun. The sun's behind me at the moment, just seeing which comes out best. I'm just manual focusing on one of the plant tops whilst it's steady, small aperture, and then it's just blowing in the wind, so catching it in and out of focus, but I think that's part of the effect here. But getting the camera nice and low, nice wide angle, 8mm, and I think that makes a good shot from here for a ultra wide. Something a bit different anyway. I'm covered in the stuff now because I've been stroking a very hairy cat. So I think this is going to be my foreground feature for my 25mm focal length shot. 25 on the lens, see there, 25, not cheating. I don't know if I've photographed this before, may have done. It's a distinctive looking rock here, but even if I haven't approached it with this kind of approach where I've had the focal length set before I've even set up the shot. So I'm shooting it as I would like a prime lens. That's my focal length, that's my field of view, so I've got to frame up this shot with the background there to suit that. Still very bright in the distance, of course. Still a couple of hours to sunset. It's 7 o'clock now, so I'm going to need a strong grad on that sky, but I think this could work out quite good. Nice strong foreground, bold feature, but I want to draw those hills in from the distance, which is why this 50mm equivalent focal length shot is ideal for this. Let me just take you over here and show you my my thoughts on this composition then. So I'm liking the view from here. I like the shape of the rock from here. It looks really nice. And you've got this little bit of grass here. You can just about see the hills there. They're the what I want on the left hand side. So the rock's on the right, they're on the left. This is the foreground. But what I've got to consider here is how high I have the tripod, because if I had it too low just now, it's clipping the top of the hills there, the horizon bit. I think I want it slightly high so it's sitting with the hills behind it. So the height adjustment again is quite critical, but that's the kind of viewpoint I'm going for. Okay, scrap that. I'm going for plan B. Something wasn't quite working there. Because I'm going to try and do that view, the mountains or the hills in the distance with the telephoto, that's going to be my telephoto shot. I thought I would try something a little bit different here. I just moved around very slightly, just from over there where my bag is, just to over here now. So I'm now looking slightly southwest now, slightly different angle on the rock. I just saw some smoke come up in the distance, which was kind of looking quite nice in the background. It's dying down now. But there's some more shaping of some rocks down here, which I like. And also there's some grasses that are being side lit. It's given a nicer foreground. And as you can see, I flipped over to the vertical format for this. And this is working just a little bit better, just to give a different view to what I will be doing with the telephoto shot. So 3-stop hard grad on the sky because it's very bright up there. And just waiting for that sun to dip into the cloud up there. But yeah, this is looking nicer. It's nicer side light. I'm not looking directly into light. A little bit of side light, a little bit of shadow on the rock, so it's a bit of contrast there, and different bit of shapings in the foreground. So I think this is looking better. So it's a plan B on this one, but this is the one to go with. So what am I actually achieving from this challenge? Well, it's making me look at the viewpoints and the locations from one focal point on each time. So here I'm just looking at it from a 25mm point of view, field of view, and it's just making me look at my composition just that little bit harder, making me work the landscape just that little bit harder, and that can only be a good thing. These kind of restrictions are what helps you improve your photography. So my last shot today is the telephoto, the 100mm shot. And I am looking off into the distance at those distant hills. Now the easy thing would be just to set up a shot, zoom in, take a picture of the hills, but I want to do something again slightly different. So I'm down here. So what I'm doing is getting a nice low angle so I get a shot shooting through the low grass here to add depth to the shot. So it's not just about the distance, it's creating a soft, probably out of focus, blurred because they're blowing in the wind shot with the foreground grasses and then the distant view. It's not just about the distant view, it's about creating depth and using these beautiful sunlit grasses that are in the foreground, and that's going to be my final shot, the 100mm shot. Well, that's another Photo 3 challenge done. Give the video a thumbs up if you like it. Give it a thumbs up if you're liking these challenges. There's more to come.